Hello and welcome everyone. Today is the launch of the Cutlass Swoon, a New World romance, the first book in the Davy Jones trilogy. And this one has been a bit of a strange one to write. I mean, they're all pretty strange to write, but this one definitely. Um, I started writing it in the pandemic. During the pandemic, I started writing it. And it was, um, to try to kind of explain it a little bit. I kind of had like a premonition that I was going to be writing something that was like a romance, um, and but it was kind of like it's not just like your Harlequin romance type of thing that you might find at a grocery store. Which, to be perfectly frank, I've never actually read one of those, so that's just pure prejudice on my part. But I don't. I don't. This thing is kind of. When I was editing the book, I asked my editor, what did he think it was? Like, what genre? And he said it was a spiritual action romance. And then his follow up was, or an Andrew Mark Rowe. And it's kind of weird because, it's, I get pegged into these, like people like, to have some things identified very, clearly identified as one thing or as a genre or whatever, like I'm doing this marketing course now about how to like market the books, and the large thing is like if you want to make it super profitable, you got to fit into a genre, and you got to um, check out your market for your covers, and you got to kind of like imitate and all this kind of thing. This that kind of thing. I spoke a little bit about it in the foreword to the Yoga of Strength. It's a little bit anathema to what I'm trying to do, which, to be perfectly fair, like I have no fucking idea what I'm trying to do. I'm just doing whatever is coming up and coming out. One of the early reviews actually said that, first I thought it was going to be a yo ho ho and a bottle of rum pirate story, and then it kind of twisted and turned, and there was an introduction of mythical creatures and all this kind of stuff. And, in the end, I'm not sure what genre to put it in. And that's kind of where where I'm happy to be. It's, it might not be the most commercially viable way of looking at it. But this is my art, my expression. And yeah, so I mean, the book on its surface is, it's the story of a pirate who starts out as an ensign on a British galleon, and he's got a miserable torturer for a boss, basically. And so he decides he's going to break bad and become a pirate. And this is all set during the age of piracy, the 17th century. And so the English and the French and the Spanish, they're all kind of like vying. There's like, now we're at war with this country, and now we're at war with this country, and all this kind of stuff. But his whole thing, so David Holloway is the name of the main character, and his whole thing is that, he's just going to give it all up. And at first he wants to, create a new world. I don't know if you've ever seen the Black Sail or ever seen that show Black Sails, but that was kind of like one of the themes. They were going to create this like pirate colony and no longer be a part of any kind of colonial power. There's a lot of like themes of that kind of stuff in there, like colonialism and the ills of all of that kind of stuff that we as the European, the descendants of the Europeans, I suppose. That's kind of like our legacy. In any event, the book, it starts to open up when David meets this woman, Heather Mercado, who, and they fall in love, and it's very much like, if I had to describe what my book is, what my books are, if you go into what Joseph Campbell's work on mythology, like mythology isn't just some you got the gorgons and you got the dragons, and there's like this kind of really cool thing that that's kind of like all about just like overcoming evil. And if the Bhagavad Gita, for example, that was mythology, that was part of a story called the Mahabharata, and that was like a big epic poem, kind of like the Odyssey or the Iliad was. And the from a Western perspective, but that's like treated as one of these like premier Hindu scriptures. Like this is kind of what and if I look at it, like for a more recent example, if you look at The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, who's one of my biggest influences, his book is a myth. Like there's no question it's a myth. The Matrix, that's a really cool, fun movie, but it's a myth. Like there's a bunch of like indicia, or Campbell talks a little bit about what makes a myth, and part of it is like these aspects of self-realization or coming to which is like a quasi, this is not even quasi, this is like religious stuff, like kind of like that kind of thing. Like it's got a lot to do with spirituality, but it also has to do with the social mores of the time. Like it's kind of like the eternal trapped in time, and that as this evolution of the enormous organism that is the earth and the species that is human happens, like those kinds of things start to get outdated. You look at some of these, if you take the Bible literally, for example, there's a lot of horrific, terrible shit in there that we would never accept nowadays, which I don't think I'm going too far out on a limb there to say that. But from a metaphorical standpoint, like a lot of the stuff that's talked about is kind of like applicable to our lives. Like, it's like riffs on the golden rule, that kind of thing. So anyways, but myths do usually have mythical creatures in them, and they also have these like, I want to say fable-like things, like if you look at the Matrix, for example, the Oracle, that whole thing about like future casting and the Oracle and all that kind of stuff. One of the things she says to Neo is if you're looking for like an Oracle or some kind of like, you're looking at the message literally, but it's kind of like the idea. I think what she said to him when he said, it was either supposed to be me or Morpheus who died. This is when he went and saved Morpheus's life. And he's like, you told me one of those two things would happen, but, we both survived. And she said something along the lines of, there's a difference between knowing the path, or Morpheus said it was Morpheus. There's a difference between knowing the path and walking it, Morpheus being the god of dreams. And that's another thing Campbell said. He said that dreams are private myths, and myths are public dreams. And the more gray hairs I put on my head, the more I kind of realize that a lot of what we, our interpretations of reality are generally mythological. They're generally according to our own personal dream of reality, and that's kind of that's where a lot of our irrational behavior comes from, where the things that make us human come from. Like we behave out of love and this kind of thing. And so this is kind of like bleeding into what I'm about to say about this, the inspiration for this book. So I met someone right before the beginning of the pandemic. Her name's Kelly, and it was like that those from personal level, it was very much like that. The fairy tale type of experience. Like it was like this, like we were at Sobeys, and I kind of like was peripherally aware of her before this, but she had added me as a friend on Facebook. I hadn't seen her, I hadn't spoken to her at all, and I ran into her at the supermarket, and it was in the chip aisle, which I thought is pretty funny, knowing her affinity for sour cream and onion chips nowadays. But anyways, it was just kind of like we locked eyes, and there was like this instant recognition, and something that went beyond words. And our relationship since then, kind of, there was a lot of stuff that kind of came up out of that. Like after I met her, there was a lot of unresolved shit that just kind of came to the surface for me personally. We went through a bit of, like most people I think, went through a bit of a rough time in 2020. We broke up for a period. We're back together now. And part of that was inspiration for the song that I'm about to share with you, which is kind of like my launch day song. So if you've been paying attention for this whole 10 minutes or whatever, however long I've been going here, good on you. And I got this song to share with you. So, okay, it's called My Lover Across Time. This may take a few takes. Okay, let's try again. Places like this and like that, myriad settings for our minds. We please ourselves with explanations found not in the link that binds. A little birdie query from the three, tweeting on my doorstep, singing out their don't worry ditty. But winged beasts are born free. I said it to the oak, I said it to the birch. Man is nothing but a pack donkey broken back through the chorus, the familiar chorus. Perhaps it's your mind that's not open. I said no way, not a chance, no siree. Life is a nut to crack, a thing to be grasped. I have found my solutions from A to Z. Then she appeared, a vision from a dream. Exeunt senses of the periphery. Chip-ile, sweetie, beyond any seam. Holy fuck, it's my lover across time. Your whole life for this moment preparing, the echoes from days lost to the contrast of improvident gray. Wondered you that it might be for sharing, and what would you know of sharing, knave? Yes, you, princely bumbler of hearts. Know you deeper than beyond any ken. If you're going to say hello, how about a shave? There is no treasure in becoming mossy, the stone never rolling down ocean ways. A bump or five as you twist and you dive. Something in my eye, explanation glossy. The world is a toy, one to be spun alone. I tried the other thing, no attachment do I seek. Just let me be alone, leave my heart of stone. Then she appeared, a vision from a dream. Exeunt senses of the periphery. Chip-ile, sweetie, beyond any seam. Holy fuck, it's my lover across time. Say it thrice, 5 times even. You are for each other. Scheme though of walls and trophies and all, goddamn give you a thump. Be good to each other be good. You are complete and not paradoxically total messes and orderly smashed vessel of soup. So please, I say this with love, so you will do the same. Consider and charge, plow forth and consider, just set mine to heart. As purple as 2 shades blended. Hell, it's not like it's your call anyway. Well, the Cutlass Swoon is... I actually also have a purple pick, by the way. The Cutlass Swoon is now available for sale for Kindle and paperback. The Kindle version is currently, for the next 7 days, so until June 4th, midnight June 4th, it's 99 cents US, and then the price is all based off of that, so it's like $1.30 or something Canadian, and whatever that is in pounds, pence. And like I said, the paperback's also available. You can check it out at the link below. I hope you enjoy it. This is one of my favorite, I think it's pretty much my favorite book that I've written so far, and I did really like the body stuff. There's more to come on that, by the way. More body literature on its way. So thanks for listening. Hope you have a great weekend, and much love.